happy with the guys and performance on Saturday. Came out very focused, great intent. What I was happy about, executed throughout the ball game. Did not say once, played to a really good standard and played well, but then didn't let up, stayed focused. And the guys that came in the game that came off the bench and don't get as many reps did the same thing, was happy with their performance, moved the football on offense, made plays on defense. Special team guys did a really good job. As I said, I thought special teams-wise, we kicked the ball very well in the game. Our field goals were very good. Our kickoffs were good. Our coverages were good. The point punt we had, we did a great job. He stuck a wedge, I guess, right at the one and made that thing. If he could do that at the golf ball, he'd be in the wrong sport, huh? He stuck that one. But we did a good job in that aspect. Defensively, I thought we played well, coverage well, tackled well. They got a couple plays early. They made plays, they made good throws with nothing wrong with what we were doing. They're right there. And then they responded back. I was very proud of Deuce. That's the first time he's played. He's been banged up, been through a lot since he's been here with some surgeries. It was great to see him on the field, Deuce Harmon. And like I say, gave up. I was in really good position on the play and turned around and made 3 great plays after that. Never let it affect him, which is important for guys that haven't played tons of football. If you give up a play, how you come back, very proud of that, the way he did it. Up front, did a good job of getting some pressure. And they RPO, which is hard. You're playing run in transition, but we got a couple sacks, got a couple holding calls out of that. Thought offensively, very efficient. I think Mark Nebu stepped in, did a great job at center. Like I said, he'd played the whole camp at center, most of it. Did a great job in there making calls and blocking, and him and Cam stayed in there the whole time at guard, and they played well. Trey played well. Guys did a good job. I thought Connor utilized the people. Got the ball to the tight end, got the ball to the backs, got the ball to the receivers, and when the shots were there down the field, he got them there, and when he didn't, he dumped it off. A good distribution, and we ran the ball well. We ran the ball very efficiently. All guys had 8 or more carries, but transition well, and all caught balls out of the backfield. Blitzes picked up, got recognitions, and played a very solid game. But the thing I was happy, like I said, they stayed that way all the way through the game, kept playing that way all the way through the game, kept a good standard, and we're going to have to this week. We're playing a very good Auburn team. Auburn's 3-0, very physical as always. Auburn's always a physical football team. Defensively up front, inside they're big, man. 50 and 80. Them inside guys are physical, really strong, big guys, hard to move once you get their guys down inside. And like I said, 99 and 50 are great big guys. The linebackers, 9 can run like heck. I know 6 has broke a thumb. I don't know if he'll be back or not, but he'll play. The transfer, Nixon does a great job. Secondary, James, the corner, is a really good player. The nickel 0, the nickel 5, those guys stand out. Safeties tackle well. 1, he hasn't played all year, Pritchett, but the other corners, along with him, Lee and those guys, man, they're all really good players, and he's played, and they get those guys back, so it'll be good in the secondary. Constant pressures, mixing coverages, different coverages in the secondary. Offense, quarterback Peyton Thorne played a lot of football at Michigan State, was a starter. 2 or 3 year starter, I believe. Had a great week last week, rushed for, I think, 127 yards, threw for 260 or 70 or whatever it was. Can throw the football. Ashford behind him is athletic, big, strong. They use him in the red zone, tight zone when he runs the football and mixes things, different packages. But the quarterback's a really good player. Backs, Hunter's strong. The other backs are fast, athletic. Like I say, Jay Fair, the receiver, we knew he's from Texas. We recruited him. He transferred back into there. Slot does a great job for them. The big guy Hooks from Jackson State, very good player, tight end, athletic. 13 can catch and run, and tackles are big, physical. Punter, and great, about a 42, 43-yard average, 4.2 hang. Does a great job. Returners are good. Ethan, the kickoff guy and their field goal guy, McPherson, and his brother is the one in the NFL, and we recruited this guy as a really good player. So, they're sound all the way across. He was a great coach. Got to play well, play in the SEC, get the season started, and play here. We need to play well. Got to play well in all facets and be physical in the game and compete in the game very well, and it'll be a battle.
Second row, Olin.
Jimbo, you referenced the tight end, Fairweather. You always talk about you like tight ends because of the matchup problems. What kind of matchup problem is this guy? And typically, who would you look for to try to match up with?
Well, it just depends if you're zone or man or how you're playing or what your other schemes are, what you're trying to stop by them. He's long, he's athletic, he can get the verticality in tight end is how I measure those guys. Those guys that can get vertical and catch the ball down the field, which he can. Great ball skills, man. It becomes a hard matchup. And they make you play the middle of the field. If you don't have to respect the middle of the field, defensively, if you can be, I say light there, you can double your guys outside and play. But when you can't do that, and the things he brings in the middle of the field, it makes it very tough. And then the different schemes they use, they're very do a good job on offense. But he's a good player, man, athletic.
And when you have three guys you're looking at running back, and they're all playing. How do you do? Do you just come in saying everybody's going to get kind of the same amount of carries, or
No, you get series and how the play call goes. You're going to get the first two series and see how that goes. And if you're hot, you go. If not, we're going to put you in the game. We keep rotation, keep guys going, and then you try to wear people down. You got to wear your defenses down. I mean, you can't. And you got to remember, this is a long haul. You got 12 regular season games, and the physicality of this league, the pounding. You look in the NFL, everybody's by committee. I mean, there's very few guys and very few teams, even the great players, have a guy that comes in and goes with them, because it's a long season, and the brutality and the physicality of a running back in this game. When you see him run the ball and he gets hit, but how about when he's chipping a guy? How about when he's pass blocking a guy? How about when he's coming through on a fake and they're taking shots at him? Those guys, you got to have a great diversity of guys, and we try to keep them by rotation in series, and then if games go, who's hot, who's whatever, and then also by play. I mean, there may be certain things that one does stronger than the other, and you'll play them by play or by call.
Out there, right, David?
Jimbo, can you speak on the linebackers, their growth this year as much as they've grown since last year?
I mean, a lot more consistent in fits. I think our eyes are better. We're fitting things. We're getting downhill better, in my opinion, and triggering on things. And I think having a great front helps. I mean, you got those guys that can do it, but the backer, you still, no matter what, you got to trigger and get those double teams off of you when those things happen. And so I think their maturity, and I think, like I say, it's the old be quick but don't hurry. You know what I mean? I think they're seeing things better, and they're playing with better eyes. And at the end of the day, I always hear me talk about all the time, eye violations and eye discipline. It's the number one thing as a player. Your eyes are the number one thing you have. If you can't see it, you can't make the play. You can't catch the ball. You can't make a read. You can't run. So where you're looking and triggering and processing information, they're doing a much better job of that.
And Shamar Turner's start to the season, 3 sacks, just looking really good. Your thoughts on what you've seen?
It doesn't surprise. Listen, I said this. There's nobody on our football team loves football more than Shamar Turner. That guy loves to play. He loves to practice. He loves to work out. He loves to run. He loves to do everything that's associated with football. And that doesn't always happen. And I mean, plays with passion and energy in everything he does. He's an inside guy. He's an outside guy. He has versatility. I love everything about what he does and the intensity he brings and the competitiveness he brings on a daily, not just a game basis, on a practice. I mean, every play in practice to him is like the national championship, and that's what you want.
Down front, and then Travis.
I know you thought a lot of him from the very beginning, but could you take us back to Connor Wigman's recruitment and your first impressions of him, driving down there, seeing him play when he was in high school?
I think the diversity and the naturalness, when you watch guys do things, and you've ever watched somebody do something and say, you know something, that looks natural. The old term, he looks natural doing that. Looks like he belongs doing it. Connor looks like he belongs playing quarterback. And what I mean by that is he has such great skills, but he's very comfortable. The game, like I said, you see guys with great arms that can run and even still look awkward at times or not always smooth. Everything he does about the game, he fits in the game. The game makes sense to him. It's natural to him. He's competitive. He's tough. He's athletic. He can throw. He can do all the things. But the processing of the things around him, the feel of the pocket, how he moves, and how he naturally will slide and not panic, but then take off. I mean, just there's a naturalness to playing that position because you're having to process so much information playing quarterback. There's no other position in any sport like it. Okay? And the decision-making and everything's scrutinized. And when you watch a guy that can just get it right, you know, say not all the time, say 95% of the time or whatever it is, but the way they do it, it's like they're in slow motion. Everybody around them is going 100 miles an hour, but they can't ever get caught, or they can't ever get grabbed, or they can't ever not make the play. And they have the great sense and feel around. And that's when I first watched him. That was my first impression. Just he looks like he belongs doing what he's doing. And then when you get to know him, I mean, he's very intelligent. He's very charismatic. He's quiet. He's not quiet, but he's not loud. He's just very confident in himself, you know what I'm saying? And he brings confidence and he exudes confidence and he gets it to people and how he communicates with people. And then he has his hands, his speed up. And then to play baseball. Listen, baseball players and quarterbacks have always related. When you're a great baseball player, man, you go back in the history of it, and you're a baseball player, right?
Yes, sir.
What's the number one thing when you're hitting? What do you got to have? Great what?
I wasn't a hitter.
Well, how did you play? How did you play? You're a pitcher?
That's all.
Well, what did you hate with guys that pitch? They could see it and what? And speed those hands up and slow them down. Like you could, I mean, you'd fool them. Like if you try to, you see they set and change up and all of a sudden they speed it up and foul it off. Or you'd get them out on that front foot and they keep those hands back. And what I'm saying is those baseball guys, and he was a great hitter, if you watch him play quarterback, all right, he's in the pocket. All right, here comes the rush. He can speed those hands up and get it out and still then put a little bit, throw it early, put a little bit of air on it that waits. And sometimes, I'm waiting for the cut and I drive it. But then there's times I got to let it go because the rush dictates and the route's not there. So you got to have that feel to speed your hands up, but then take off a little bit and put a little bit more air. Or sometimes the receiver cut the route short on you. Sometimes, and all of a sudden it's there, and you got to speed it up and put juice on it. And that, when you go back and watch a lot of your great quarterbacks, a lot of them are great baseball players while they were great hitters. They could speed those hands up, slow them down, and they could process what they saw, like seeing the spin on a baseball, processing what's happening. And it's a lot of naturalness in what he does that way. And then the footwork, when you're playing middle infield, it's like playing quarterback. You always got to have your feet up under you. And then when you do have to bring the sidearm throw or that, he'll do that. And sometimes I get on him about it. Sometimes I tell him, I tell him sometimes when you play shortstop, and we play at middle infield, sometimes you'll get it and you got plenty of time, and you watch them in the pros, they'll just make that throw. Well, when you're playing quarterback, you can't make that throw. You know what I mean? I said you can't play quarterback like you play shortstop, as far as you got to play like it's going to be a close play. Now all of a sudden it's a close play and you see those guns come across. Well, when you play quarterback, he'll get late. He's so good with his hands, he knows what's going on. Sometimes he'll get lazy and sidearm it, but that can cause. That's the difference in football. All right, I'm throwing that drag route. It's behind me here. The guy gets tackled instead of putting it a foot in front, where he can accelerate through it and make a run, and that makes a big difference at times. And that's something he does. Where we joke about that all the time.
Brett Favre did that though.
But he did it. They all do it. Mahomes, you can do it when you have to. You don't do it till you have to, because you don't do it all the time. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, all those great ones can do it. But when they're sound, they throw it the right way. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, he has a lot of those other tools though that can get you things that you can't teach. You know what I mean? The guys that can drop down and do those different arm angles and things. And listen, he's got a lot of work to do. He's still he's only played 7-8 games. Right. And that's no, he's got a lot of football to go. We got an SEC schedule to go. We got a lot of things to do, but love where he's at, love his demeanor. But I like his sight, and I also like his disposition. It's competitive, it's natural, it's learning. He don't mind getting coached. He don't mind getting coached hard. He's very, when he makes mistakes, he admits to them. He's very competitive. He's got the right DNA, so hopefully we can keep doing the right things.
And I know you scour the nation looking for guys, quarterbacks, but how nice is it to go an hour away?
Oh, it's great.
Star guy?
It makes it a heck of a lot easier, man. And I mean, sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. You know what I mean? That's just, and that wants interest. You know what I mean? That's the other thing. Do they have interest in you? Sometimes guys want to go different places. That's in the world today, and that was great. And him being here and being local, man, makes a big difference.
Down front, Travis, and then we'll go Cease to the left side.
Kind of along the same lines, when you talk about those off-platform throws or different angles, how do you coach that, and how do you coach when is the right time and the wrong time?
Well, it's a feel. There's no here's the right time when you can't make the normal throw. If you can make the normal throw, you should always do it the right way. There's nothing. I mean, get your feet right, get your arm right, be over the top, make your throws, do you can. It's when you're ad-libbing and reacting. There's no time to coach that. You got to, and what the good ones can do, they're really not making that throw with their hands. They're making it with their feet. And what I'm saying is when they get just moved off their spot, and they can get that 1 foot back in the ground to get a little bit of power to generate that arm angle and get those hands out. I mean, and also where you carry the ball. I mean, when you're carrying those things, you get in habits of carrying that thing really low. Your arm drags. It's just like a pitcher. When you drag that arm, and you don't want to drag. You got to loop and get on top. I mean, and you get it back. But keeping that ball up and where you displace it, and keeping 2 hands on the ball. I mean, you get guys that separate their hands a lot. They have a hard time generating those throws. So there's a lot of mechanics that go with it, and a lot of teaching goes with it. But he does it. And then at the end of the day, listen, they can either do it or they can't. You can teach you're blue in the face, and you can give them all the mechanics, and then there's a part of it you can either do it or you can't. He can do it.
To the left side, Cease, and then Mark right next to him.
You talked about attacking in the middle. Is Jake Johnson becoming like a security blanket for
I hope so.
For Connor, since he had 6 last week?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, there's a guy. I mean, you're a 6'6" guy. So I mean, and he's got verticality too. And those guys are open when they're covered. And he's got really good ball skills. So I love the way, Jake's development's coming. And the more you can get a guy like that, the better it is. And also, Max had 2 nice catches in the game. I think we had, 8 catches between tight ends? Max had 2, and he had 6. So, I mean, that's big bodies, and it helps.
And then follow-up, who's maybe the better blocker of your tight end? Is Johnson's blocking?
I can't tell everything. Daggum, I can't tell you everything. I can't tell you everything. But they all, listen, they're in there on all those plays. They're all in there blocking on all those plays, so they all have to do it all. I mean, that's one thing about a tight end, man. I mean, you're going to exploit it in some part of your game at some point if you're not all the way through.
Okay, Mark.
All right, it's a proverbial two-parter. Number one,
Oh, never mind. You have created this.
I learned from the best.
I'm joking.
First, injury updates on the guys who were out Saturday and Noah.
Should be good. Hopefully we'll be fine. We'll find out this week. We'll see him as we go.
Okay, part two, I'm going to plead schematic ignorance being a baseball guy. I'm the hitter. But a few times during the game, you had LT or Fadil split out wide covering the slot. What's the idea about that? What does it bring? And aren't you kind of worried that they might pop up and actually throw the ball to the guy?
Good, because they'll get killed because he's right on top of them. now you got a 260-pound guy on a, and also you got to remember those guys are rerouting. They're playing zone. They're not in man. So you're rerouting. The best. I'm gonna tell you, the hardest guy I ever went against in my life in college football was a guy named Mark Herzlich, who played at Boston College. Remember, he was 6'5", 265 pounds. I would take 20 DB. I could name guys that are in the NFL right now that would be in the slot that we would rather run routes by than he would get in the slot and reroute our guys with his length, wingspan, and play leverage on it. Because when they would reroute them, they'd go from the hash to the numbers. You know what I mean? You're rerouting guys. You're bringing different guys, and then you'll bring packages, and you're trying to play. You bring pressures from the other side. 'Cause, I mean, you understand something. An offensive lineman, what do you know on the offensive line? All right, that's a big guy out there, right? So you got to account. If you account for him with the back, he can walk in and do what? Blitz. So now I got to account for him on the back, so I'm sliding two linemen this way. Now what does that open up on blitz possibilities on the other side? Because it's personnel mismatches. See, I can think, okay, he's going to drop him, but what if he doesn't? If I account for somebody else and slide to protect the other way, then I got a 260-pound guy rushing on a 200-pound back. I got a mismatch. So what you see this week may be something set up for next week. What maybe see here, it creates the mismatches by how they play it, how they slide line, or what they do. And everybody does it. I mean, if you go look at everybody in football right now, it's what everybody's doing. I mean, you're down. You're going from 3 down to 4 down within the same personnels, which cause offenses a lot of thinking, a lot of problems, because how you match that and how you slide protections can match up. Do they blitz them or do they not blitz them? And do they reroute? I mean, those big guys are 260 pounds and can sit there and know, listen, all I got to do is cover this box, and you got to run by me. All we're trying to do is buy time for him to reroute, get out in another zone, different things like that. So there's different principles when you do that, totally to different things.
Go right in front of the lights.
This game has become a very intricate game and a lot more than it ever was before. Promise.
Ben will go back behind the lights on the right side, Coach.
Coach, I know coaching staffs and teams are always evolving anyway, but 3 games in with a new coaching staff for them, how much can you get a feel for what they're trying to do, especially with the guys that they had last year and maybe how they're different?
Well, and I think you go back to their history, past histories too. I mean, guys don't ever deviate very far. I mean, you're not going to say guys don't go from running the wishbone to the run and shoot. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's going to be, and now how they use their players, that's the thing you got to be, who their feature guy is, what are they trying to do different, how are they trying to, and they're probably still learning their guys too a little bit and certain talents to how to feature guys to get them the ball or different things, but it stays relatively similar. But then again, that's why you got to teach, when you teach offense and defense, you're teaching concepts. And it's not, everything you do has a rule based off, it's a 3-man group, a 4-man surface, a 2-man surface, a 4-man side, a 3-man side, a 2-man side. So how your rules apply. So if there is different things that happen, which always are in a game, you have rules that apply to it. So, that's part of the early season things in which you go. I mean, and that's why you got to teach conceptually and not just, you're not memorizing exactly what they do all the time.
Coach, right in front of the lights, Chip.
Jimbo, if I could just give you one area or one position where you'd like to see the most improvement, where would that be?
There's about 3. I mean, I always say this. I always go back to the trenches. I really do, because I think the game is, you don't understand how the game is won and lost there based on everything you do. I mean, how we fit the runs, how we want to pressure the quarterback, getting pressure, and how you're making your calls in your protection schemes and blocking schemes in the run pass. I always think, because the intricacies of the O-line, D-line, I don't think people give the true credit for how complicated and tough it truly is and understand how the game is truly won and lost there. And we get so enamored by the skill guys in space, but the greatness is really measured by the guys with the hand. So I always think in the lines of scrimmage, I think you're always trying to improve in every way, shape, or form. And then I always think the play of a quarterback. I mean, all the little things and the more experience you can always put in a guy. And not that our guy's not playing really good. I'm not saying that. But, I mean, there's never enough. as I call, saddle time for those guys and experiences and scenarios for them to go through.
Coach, we'll wrap it up back in the back behind the lights.
Yeah, Coach, defensively, do you feel like you saw the response or the progress from Miami?
Well,
to
we'll see.
this
I mean, and we weren't playing the same kind of opponent, but again, I said this: we got beat physically in the Miami game. We weren't guys running scot-free. We got beat on physical. Man, guy got beat in a one-on-one or things like that. So hopefully we'll continue to do that, and we'll go against good guys in practice. And listen, their receivers last week, they had 2 or 3 guys have a shot at really good players. So I think we played a lot better there. So I think there's always things that way you're trying to improve and do better. I mean, it's not like you're blowing coverages. It's not like you're doing different things. You got to win those one-on-one battles, and then you got to help them with technique and then other pressures and do different things in which we can do. But hopefully we'll see the step up this week as the level of competition steps up in the SEC. Hopefully we'll find out. But I liked where we did. I thought we played well. Thought we practiced right. We gave up 4 first downs until the last drive. And I don't care. That's hard to do on anything. And that's also a team that just beat a really good Army team who beat a really good UTSA team here. It's not like, that ULM had some good players, man. Had some really good players. So it's not like, and I'm not saying that. I mean, it's just you had good competition. Now we'll find out. We step up another level, and hopefully we'll carry this week.
And I believe you've coached against Hugh Freeze when you're at Florida State.
Yeah, we opened up the season with them one year. They had AJ, they had all their receivers. We had a shootout. They were ahead like 24-6 or something. We come back and won 43 to something. Was Francois' first game. I think he threw for 418 yards.
So what's it like, I guess, coaching against Hugh Freeze? And what do you?
Oh, he's going to listen. Hugh's going to be open. He's going to be wide open. He's going to be aggressive on offense. He's going to be dynamic. He's going to create things in special teams. Not afraid to call a fake. Not afraid to do things. Very good coach. Going to have his guys motivated, ready to play. Hugh's a good guy and a very good football coach.